Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the entire internet, every website, every app, every search, every stream, now answers to the laws, the values, and the command of one single country. Now imagine that country isn't your own. It didn't happen with a bang. No great war, no glowing screens flickering into static, no storm of missiles. It happened slowly, silently, through cables beneath oceans, code written in secret, and influence bought behind closed doors. The future wasn't conquered by armies. It was absorbed, bite by bite. But before we go forward, we must go back. The year is 1969. In a small room at UCLA, a computer screen flickers. A message is typed. Low. It's short for login. But the system crashes before the third letter. That failed login, a mere blip in history, was the first breath of what we now call the internet. Back then, it was called ARPANET, funded by the United States Department of Defense. A network designed for resilience, so that if one node was destroyed, the others could still communicate. Built for survival, born in fear of nuclear war, what began as a military project quickly evolved. By the 1990s, the internet had gone global. Borders meant less, time zones blurred, voices that had been silenced for centuries found microphones. Ideas traveled faster than governments could censor them. But what if that hadn't happened? What if one country, say, the United States, had never opened the internet to the world? What if it had been locked behind a sovereign firewall? Or what if, instead, another nation, more authoritarian, more secretive, had built it first? Or, what if the US still built it, but decided to keep it? Let's walk into that world. In this alternate timeline, the Cold War escalates faster. The Cuban Missile Crisis doesn't end in a handshake. It ends in gunfire over the skies of the Caribbean. Nuclear war is narrowly avoided, but paranoia reigns. The American military, fearing information leaks, declares the ARPANET a matter of national security, permanently classified. The public never hears of it. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, watching from the shadows, begins their own version. Closed, monitored, controlled. By 1980, both superpowers have internal networks, but they are just that, internal. There is no World Wide Web, no dot-com boom, no social media revolution. Until, in the 1990s, one man changes everything. He's not a coder. He's not a scientist. He's a politician. He sees the potential of these networks not just as communication tools, but as levers of control, influence, and surveillance. Imagine if every message passed through servers your government owned. Imagine if every file shared, every post liked, every search made, could be seen, stored, and if needed, erased. He proposes a simple but radical idea. Centralize the internet. Nationalize it, the same way you nationalize oil, or electricity, or railroads. And his country agrees. In this timeline, the internet is not a global commons. It is not decentralized. It is not free. It is a utility, controlled, like power grids. Except this grid carries not electricity, but thought. By the early 2000s, the world is split. There is the internet, capital I, and there is everything else. And the internet belongs to one flag. You want to start a website? Apply for a license. You want to stream a video? The content is checked, first by bots, then by human moderators loyal to the government. You want to run a search? You can, but the results are curated. Not by algorithm, by ideology. And still, most people don't notice. Because the interface is sleek. The speeds are fast. The services are convenient. For many, life online is easier than ever. But behind the scenes, deals are being made. Countries that want access must sign agreements. Pledges to follow the dominant country's rules, their data standards, their surveillance laws. Opposition voices? Disconnected. Encryption tools? Banned. Journalists? Watched. Dissent? Scrubbed. In this world, the internet is not a marketplace of ideas. It is a mirror. One that reflects only what one government allows you to see. Now imagine the impact. Revolutions that in our world began on social media, like the Arab Spring, never ignite. Messages are intercepted, hashtags blocked, protests coordinated through SMS vanish before they start. Whistleblowers like Edward Snowden? Unknown. Their leaks buried. Their platforms erased. There is no WikiLeaks, no global outrage, no push for transparency. And tech companies? They don't rise in California garages. They grow under government contracts, in controlled zones. Their success isn't measured by users or innovation, but by loyalty. This internet doesn't empower the individual. It surveils them. It doesn't connect the world. It fragments it. And now, in the 2020s, resistance begins to form. Cryptographers build underground protocols. Dissidents create mesh networks in war zones. Hackers, once seen as criminals, become freedom fighters. But they are few, and the net is vast. Censorship is automated. Firewalls are dynamic. Digital fingerprints betray even the most careful rebels. People live double lives. Online, they praise the regime. Offline, they whisper the truth. Parents warn their children, don't talk politics. Your phone is always listening. And in this world, they are right. But let's pause. Why would the world ever allow this? Why would other nations, democracies even, tolerate an internet controlled by a single country? The answer is addiction. The centralized internet is beautiful, fast, seamless. It offers tools people rely on: banking, education, healthcare, entertainment. It is the beating heart of global infrastructure. And to unplug from it is to unplug from modern life. So, most nations fold. Some protest. But in the end, they all log in. Except for one, a small country. Isolated, fiercely independent. It builds its own system. It's crude, slow, difficult. But it's theirs. And slowly, others notice. Whispers begin. What if we could take the internet back? What if it could be rebuilt, not by one government, but by many? Not by corporate giants, but by communities? But that hope comes at a cost. Because those who control the net, they don't want to lose it. And the war for the internet is about to begin. The first blow doesn't come in the form of code. It comes in the form of silence. An entire nation goes dark. Not because of cyber attacks or sabotage, but because they dared to defy. One government, weary of surveillance, disconnects from the global network controlled by the digital superpower. Overnight, its websites are blacklisted. Its apps vanish from stores. Its people can't send messages to relatives abroad. Banks freeze. Flights stall. Hospitals lose access to international data systems. Punishment, swift and invisible. And the world watches. It's a warning. Compliance means convenience. Rebellion means isolation. This is not a Cold War fought with missiles. This is a digital empire where power flows through glass fibers and silicon, and the mightiest weapon is disconnection. But like all empires, cracks begin to show. A leaked video. A child's live stream, accidentally capturing an agent at work. A voice, garbled and masked, claiming to be a developer who once helped build the system. He says it was meant to protect. That it became something else. Something monstrous. The video spreads, not through the controlled web, but through physical means. USBs, hard drives, hidden Wi-Fi beacons broadcasting in alleyways. The resistance isn't online, it's offline. It grows in basements, libraries, abandoned towers. They call it the free net. Not because it's strong, but because it's theirs. In this world, activists don't fight for likes or followers. They fight to remember. They teach others how to code without being traced. They rebuild forgotten protocols. They carry fragments of history like holy relics, books, articles, videos. Artifacts from before the silence. And then, something unexpected happens. A whistleblower within the digital superpower's own network goes rogue. She's not a rebel. She's not even political. She's a systems engineer, loyal, obedient, invisible. But one day, she's asked to delete. Not just data, but someone. A journalist, exiled years ago, still speaking truth on pirate radio. Her order: trigger an AI search. Flag the voice. Silence it. She pauses. Then reroutes the command. Instead of deleting, she copies. And leaks. The recording spreads like wildfire, or rather, like code. Mutating, replicating, hiding itself in songs, in games, in innocuous memes. AI systems try to scrub it. But it's too late. The world hears it. A voice. Calm. Tired. Speaking of torture. Of digital prisons. Of minds broken not by bars, but by algorithms that rewrite memory, erode identity, and fabricate entire pasts. It isn't just about censorship anymore. It's about reality. You see, in this world, truth isn't what's real, it's what's allowed. Deepfakes are state-approved. Photos are corrected for national clarity. History is versioned like software. A fact one year may be forbidden the next. And now, the illusion is cracking. Citizens begin asking questions, quietly, at first. Why did this article disappear? Why can't I message my cousin abroad? Why do the same 5 influencers always trend, no matter what? And for the first time, the system miscalculates. A blackout meant to silence protests in one city spreads. A glitch in the AI moderation systems flags government posts as disinformation. For 24 hours, the empire's digital empire turns on itself. Government sites go offline, their own propaganda blocked, their own voices silenced. People notice. The illusion is exposed, but exposure is not collapse. The system recovers, regains control, issues statements, arrests scapegoats, updates the filters, reboots the myth. Still, something has changed. A spark, in millions of minds. Small, uncertain, but alive. They begin to imagine something dangerous. An internet not of one country, but of all countries. A network that isn't owned, only shared. Where information isn't filtered, only verified. Where voices aren't erased, but heard. And the question rises, if one country can build a digital empire, could the world build something better? Not a new web, but a new philosophy. One that remembers what the original internet once promised. Not total freedom, not chaos, but connection. Dialogue, understanding. But revolutions are not won with dreams alone. The empire tightens. It launches a global initiative, Internet Harmony. Every participating country receives funding, tech, infrastructure, in exchange for loyalty. Censorship tools are rebranded as cultural filters. Surveillance becomes preventative safety. Citizens are offered digital scores. High ones come with perks. Better schools, faster internet, exclusive content. A velvet leash. And it works. For a time. Until a schoolgirl in Nairobi posts a hand-drawn comic. It's innocent. Just a cartoon. But in the background, hidden in the lines, are coordinates. The location of an unlisted data center. Buried beneath the sand. Forgotten even by those who built it. Hackers from 5 continents converge digitally. Not to destroy, but to unlock. Inside the center are terabytes of deleted data, voices, photos, ideas, lost memories. They release it. The flood is immediate. Screens flicker. History re-emerges. Falsehoods unravel. People remember. Others panic. The empire calls it an information attack. But for millions, it feels like waking from a long dream. The battle is no longer for control. It's for meaning. Governments scramble to spin the leak. But there's too much. And people, once passive, start comparing notes. Why is my version different from yours? Why did our leaders tell us this? What else have they hidden? And suddenly, knowledge becomes resistance. Not guns, not bombs, not even code, just questions. But the empire is not done. They unleash their final project, long in development. A full cognitive web, integrated neural access, thought to search technology. Seamless, invisible, embedded in education, jobs, entertainment. They promise it's optional. It isn't. Now the internet isn't just around you. It's in you. You think, and the system listens. You imagine, and it responds. But it also learns, anticipates, redirects, and if needed, deletes the thought before it's even spoken. Some call it evolution. Others call it the end. And yet, deep in the shadows, in ruined libraries and abandoned satellites, the free net still pulses, weak but alive. A whisper against the storm. A reminder that even when one country controls the internet, it can never truly control the human spirit. Somewhere in a forgotten desert, 2 children are playing with an old tablet. Its screen cracked, its casing scratched, but somehow, it still works. They're not supposed to have it. The device is banned, obsolete, disconnected from the main grid. But within it lies something dangerous. A story. Not an app, not a program, just a simple video. Grainy, low resolution, recorded decades ago. A teacher in a rural village explains what the internet used to be. She speaks of forums where strangers became friends, of open archives, of knowledge that wasn't dictated. The children listen, eyes wide. It's like a fairy tale. They look at each other and ask the question that topples empires. Why did they take it away? In that question lies everything. Because no matter how vast the surveillance net, no matter how fast the AI censors, truth has a tendency to echo. And echo it does. We move now to a cityscape, sleek, polished, precise. A place where no dust gathers on the glass. Here, an executive of the ruling net authority sits alone in a sterile office. He watches a stream of data cascade across transparent displays. Metrics of control, compliance rates, global trend stability. But something's off. He zooms in on a graph, keyword variance. A subtle uptick, untraceable, analog, books, offline, remember. Harmless words, but the pattern is too clean, too human. He knows what it means. There is a leak in the system, not of information but of imagination. And imagination, once sparked, is harder to erase than any file. Meanwhile, across the sea, a movement grows. Not organized in the traditional sense. It has no leaders, no symbols, no manifestos, just an idea. Disconnect to connect. It spreads through graffiti, encoded language embedded in artwork, in musical melodies that carry Morse-like rhythms. Every act of defiance is subtle. A printer in a basement that spits out banned poems. A busker who hums a forgotten national anthem. A farmer who plants crops in the shape of forbidden logos, visible only from the sky. These are not warriors, they are curators of memory. But memory is dangerous, because when people remember what freedom felt like, they begin to miss it. The tipping point doesn't come with a bang. It comes during a mandatory live stream. Every citizen is required to tune in, a global address from the head of the digital empire. A flawless stream, translated in real time, delivered in perfect light, flawless tone. But halfway through, a pixel stutters. Then another. And then the feed shifts. Not violently, gently. The image dissolves. In its place, a boy's face. Not polished, not scripted. He's sitting in a dim room, a candle flickering behind him. He speaks with no fear, no anger. Just clarity. My father was deleted, he says. He was a teacher. He told me stories. He asked questions. They said he disrupted harmony. Silence. I found his memories. They were in a packet on an old drive. He used to say, if your world can't stand questions, maybe it's not strong enough to be a world. That's all. The screen goes black. Then the anthem resumes. But it's too late. That one interruption, it wasn't an accident. It was an incision. And through it, something begins to bleed. Not information. Not outrage. Hope. Across cities, millions saw it. Some were horrified. Others inspired. All unsettled. The net authority responds fast. Devices are seized. Algorithms adjusted. The boy is labeled a fabrication. A deepfake. A foreign sabotage. But deep down, everyone knows. He was real. And with that, the dam breaks. Digital uprisings begin, not in the streets but in code. Entire systems flicker. Subroutines collapse. Filters fail. Truth returns, not as a flood, but as fragments. Deleted articles reappear. Censored names resurface. A hidden archive goes public. A complete record of erasures spanning decades. And then comes the choice. A final vote. Not by governments. Not by corporations. By people. A decision appears on every screen. Do you wish to remain in the curated system, or exit to the free net? One click. Irreversible. Permanent. The curated system promises safety, familiarity, stability. The free net? Chaos, noise, vulnerability, and agency. The vote divides families, cities, generations. For some, the cage is too comfortable to leave. For others, it's unbearable. And the numbers begin to shift. At first, only a trickle opts out. But then it grows, faster than expected. Entire regions unplug overnight. The net authority scrambles to throttle the exodus. But the protocol, the choice, was embedded too deep. Too many backdoors. Too many anonymous contributors. Too many who had dreamed of this day. Soon, the curated internet is no longer dominant. It is a ghost town, echoing with empty data centers and idle AI moderators that still try to flag content no one uploads. And in its place, the world begins again. But this time, there are no gods. No gatekeepers. Just people. People rebuilding a new web. Imperfect, slow, raw, but real. And this time, they remember what was lost. They build in public. They encrypt with trust. They teach their children not just how to use the internet, but how to question it. How to question power. And that is where this story ends, or rather, where it begins again. Because whether the internet is a tool of tyranny or liberation is not a question of technology. It's a question of who controls it, and who dares to take it back. If you believe stories like this matter, if you want to see more alternate visions of our world, more truths hidden in fiction, then stay with us. This is Alternate Earth. And the signal is only getting stronger.